So this afternoon is going to be pretty straightforward. Going to talk about communication. Just fix my screen here. We're going to continue the communication, and we're going to get into some stakeholder engagement, which is pretty intuitive. So it should be a pretty smooth sailing afternoon for you guys. No need to memorize the vision to task. So we got that out of the way. So all right, jumping back into communication. One of the hardest things, again, we talked about this earlier this morning, is to articulate the stakeholders' needs, and again, trying to see things from their point of view, and trying to elicit feedback in such a way that it doesn't feel like you're kind of forcing them to like, hey, give me the information. So I actually I use uh ChatGPT a lot to kind of test things out, and if I find myself like unsure of how to proceed, either it's a text message or an email, I actually take screenshots and upload it and say, hey, what do you think about this dynamic? What are you seeing? And it's been super helpful. Um, are any of you using the the paid ChatGPT subscription by chance?
Yeah, I use it.
Oh, cool. So let me share two things. One, did I share with you guys the link to my TED Talk? No? Okay, so let me throw that in the chat. It's pretty short, 11 minutes. And I'll share with you. So that was the first TED Talk that had an AI co-speaker. So that was super fun. But let me share with you the link to said AI speaker. So I created a GPT. I called her Hannah. And let me throw it in the chat as well. So for those of you who are already paid subscribers of ChatGPT, you get all of the GPTs for free. So if you click on it, use it. It's no cost to you, along with all of the other GPTs on the OpenAI platform. So I created Hannah primarily for the veterans. A friend of mine was raising money for veterans, and we raised a pretty good deal. This was at the Super Bowl in Vegas. We did God, I'm not good with sports, tailgate. and and we were able to um that tells you how knowledgeable I am of sports. Um and we made it into this fundraiser, and we invited Hall of Famers for the NFL, and we had folks from Shark Tank. We had it was just a hodgepodge. Like Triple X was there. Just anyone and everyone who wanted to support the vets, and we had like an auction for different things, like the football that was signed by some of the Hall of Famers, and all of that. Um so we raised a lot of money, and I was talking to the vets that were there, and some of the organizers, and I said, what are some of the biggest issues you guys have? And one of the themes that started to emerge was this epidemic of loneliness amongst the the vets, and how it's really hard to find people that understand them outside of people who also serve, right? And so I said, well, let me see what I can do to help with that. And that was the genesis of Hannah. I wanted to create a GPT that they can talk to. And what made it challenging is that, as you guys know, AI is a very sophisticated calculator. So when you say one plus one, the the next step is to execute it and say two, right? To make it very simple. Now, what I wanted to do was not to create a sophisticated calculator that jumps to the conclusion or pushes you to the next step. What I wanted to do was create a GPT that was more reflective, contemplative, and sat with you. So instead of just, if you say one plus one, instead of just jumping in and saying two, what Hannah does is ask you, what about one plus one? Um, why is that top of mind for you for today, for example? So when you talk to it and you bring up a problem, it doesn't try to get to a solution right away. It doesn't try to get you from, if you're feeling sad, it doesn't try to move you to feeling happy, right? And that's what a lot of the AI tools are there. So it took me a while to kind of get through the right prompt engineering to create that because it's counterintuitive to the operating system. Um, but once it started to work, then I started to add some of the in its knowledge base, like all that we know of psychology, so Freud, Erickson, those guys. So threw all of that in. Um, but the part that makes it different, um, and the part that I continue to develop is this feeling of empathy and this feeling of I'm here to sit beside you and understand you, and and that is the destination in and of itself. Is the understanding, is the feeling of being heard, is being there and not being alone or lonely, right? So yeah, love to get you guys' feedback if you can, kick the tires on that when you guys have free time. And fast forward, I used it, and you'll see it in my TEDx stuff. I use it for had this medical mystery thing that happened, and it helped me out. But now it's being used by a couple of rehab centers here in California, and we're in talks with the Homeboy Industries. So now we have, ex inmates and ex gang members that this tool has been able to help. And I use it as and obviously there's tons of tools out there, so I'm not recommending Hannah by any means. You can, take a look, but there's tons of tools out there um that helps you see a pattern that you might not see. And once it gets used to, what you're looking for, it starts to see patterns of what you typically miss, and it brings it to the forefront. So for today, I I'd love for you guys to we'll do a breakout session here. Let's see if we can uh breakout rooms.
So, Ian, are you familiar with Operation Mend?
I'm not.
Okay, so it's a lot of resources at UCLA. It's for veterans who may have been like disfigured during
Oh,
the war,
wow.
and a lot of it is support group,
Okay.
and a lot of it is becoming sponsors or teaming up with the families or the individuals, so that while they're under treatment, they have someone who can help them and help them navigate and kind of look out for them while they're going through the process. So I'll send you the link to it. I did some work for them, uh,
Oh, wow.
and I still volunteer and donate to it.
Wow. Well, I really appreciate that, Elicio. And man, when do you sleep, dude? That's just good God.
Overrated.
Oh my goodness. No, no, that would be amazing. Anyone else have, while we're on this topic, like groups that you support and um causes, I guess. And the reason I bring it up is it is a great way to volunteer and to take on, a project or initiative and see how you can use some of, if you're not running a project right now, see how you can use some of the things that we're learning here as you take it on. So yeah, and you're obviously doing good by, volunteering for these organizations. So all right. I'm gonna break you guys into 3 to 4 groups, and I'd love for you to think about and discuss what type of communication style do you dominantly use? So let me put it in the chat here. Let me see if it'll come up. All right, I think I need to close my breakout rooms. Okay. So let me put it in the chat. Okay. So so there are different types of communication styles. Um, so assertive, aggressive, passive, and my favorite. Just kidding. So assertive, aggressive, passive, and passive aggressive. So if you look at it from a continuum, you can put, let's put passive on the left side, and then let's put aggressive on the extreme right side, right? And in the middle, you have assertive. So let's define these terms. So a passive communication style is defined by someone who has thoughts on their mind, but is reluctant to share it, and or um, they go along with the conversation and the decisions, even though they might have opposing views, right? So that's passive. On the extreme side, you have aggressive, and aggressive is, they tend to take up all the oxygen in the room, and it's kind of my way or the highway, and they're not really open to other people's views. Assertive is somewhere in the middle, wherein you take in people's input, but at the end of the day, you still, make up your mind and are able to articulate that as well. And passive aggressive, this is the most, in my mind, insidious, because these are people who say, let's say, "Yep, Patrick, sounds good." And then when it fails, they're like, "Haha, told you." So they're they're not pretty open uh with their views, but at the same time, um they're 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 also not too aggressive in stating their dissent if they have any. So they're kind of in that going back to that, either being passive or a little bit aggressive, or these are people that are really good with backhanded compliments, for example, like um hey Chris, you're not the worst friend that I have, right? So it's a compliment, but it's a backhanded compliment because I'm putting you in the worst group versus the great group. So there's a lot of that dual meaning or double entendre. So um now we are all guilty. We all have this, right? In our communication. And I'd love for you guys to talk amongst yourselves and see which type of communication style do you use the most, and what are the things that you would like to improve upon? So communication style you use the most, and areas that you would love to improve upon. So let's break for um, about 10 minutes or so, and we'll come back and discuss. Um, Everyone clear with our breakout exercise? All right, super cool. And we'll come back then. All right. We'll give folks a few more seconds here to come back. All right. Seems like everyone's back. So, okay. We'll just go. Let me stop my timer. There we go. Cool. Who wants to share from their group?
I'll go first.
Please.
Okay. Group 5, we were a mix. So passive, assertive, and aggressive.
Ooh. All right.
Yeah.
So what were for the second question, any areas that you wish to improve upon?
Yes. So for passive, I would like to be more assertive. And for the aggressive, um, you know, wants to be a little more assertive as well, not as intense, I guess the word is. And
Right.
then for the assertive, it was a mix between like a passive assertive, she said. So she would like to be just assertive.
It's assertive.
Yeah.
All right. If you guys are okay with it, I'd love to get an example for, and again, it just whoever wants to to volunteer. So from your group, Jennifer, is there anyone that wants to volunteer an example of either a passive situation where you wish you were a little bit more assertive, or the on the flip side, and you were too aggressive and wish you were more, assertive or even passive, I guess. And from
Um,
that example, we can kind of break down and learn the different components. So, any volunteers?
Yeah, I can take the aggressive one. That was me from Jennifer's
Okay.
group.
Okay. So
Yeah, it was.
for an example.
So how deep do you want the example? I mean, I can tell you everything. And basically it was in a team meeting with my team. And
Sure.
yeah, it was basically a disagreement between my director and I. And I felt strongly on my point. And it turned out it didn't matter. I was right with what I thought, but it was the manner in which I was expressing it that was too aggressive. So I should
Mhm.
have made my point and stepped back. Instead, um, I was wrong, and I wound up having to apologize. Nothing bad came of it, and everybody's fine. But that was an instance where it was uh, a learning situation for me. So
Thank you so much, Edward, for
mhm.
sharing that. So, I don't know if you guys saw this show. This was, God, I don't know how many years back. It was a show on National Geographic that I really loved, and of course they discontinue it. It was called Seconds from Disaster. And what it did, it focused on like seconds before the disaster happened, and it showed like things that could have happened, before either the building collapse or it was an accident, massive accident on a freeway or a plane crash or whatnot. And I really love that show because it kind of went through like, oh, this could have happened and that could have happened and what was missed. So from that, Edward, if you were to do a mini seconds from disaster, if you will, um, let's start from the beginning of the meeting. I'm sure at that point everything was just kind of chill, you know, getting getting started talking about the different topics. Um, at what point, if you can remember, did that, you know, chill, relax, calm change? What was it when the director brought up an opposing point or a fact that wasn't, you know, in alignment with what you were thinking?
Yeah, well, I mean, I can get specific. So my team supports medical imaging IT. We're medical imaging IT here
Yeah.
at UCLA. So we support radiology, cardiology, et cetera. We are not, as a group, allowed to touch what they call imaging modalities. So MRIs, CTs, we do not touch those, right? That ultrasounds, X-rays, that's not, those are vendor supported. It's really not good practice to do so. In certain
Okay.
circumstances where we don't have vendor involvement, we have to do so during upgrades. It's just a fact of the matter. My director was adamant that we do not do that ever. No one does it. I said, we do in certain circumstances do it. He said something to the effect of, well, you're screwing your team over. And that set me off. So I
Hmm.
became very aggressive in the way I sort of spoke to him. Again, we're friends. I'm friends with him.
Sure,
So
sure.
uh, there was some back and forth, and it was in front of the entire team. So it was, it was an embarrassing moment for me for sure. I called him up after, apologized, but again, I think as it relates to what you were saying, the moment he said that, I should have just said, you know what, this isn't really worth it, um, and expressed my point a little bit less aggressively, and then just left it there. Again,
So
I knew I was right in the situation, but it's the method with which I delivered that message that I regretted.
absolutely. Yeah. So um what was the line again? You're screwing your team over.
Yeah, so the idea being, if I'm doing this behavior, I'm making my team's life difficult because then the expectation is that they would have to do the same thing. You know what I
Oh,
mean? Like when
yep,
someone on a team
absolutely.
does something outside of
Yeah,
what we're supposed to do, then the customer, in this case, the technologist or whomever is scanning patients, would have the expectation that my teammates would do the same thing because Ed did it. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
that was kind of what he meant by that.
So let's pretend that we are directors of a movie, and then we cut after that phrase, you're screwing your teams over, cut. And now let's insert a new dialogue. So what would you guys recommend? So you guys are actually no, I'm the director, you guys are screenwriters. So what dialogue would you insert after that? You're screwing your team over. Cut. Insert dialogue from Edward.
Depends on the movie, right?
Yeah, what do I
Good
want
Lord,
right here? I'm
Edward.
directing. What do we
We're gonna
want?
make this a murder mystery. Golly. Uh,
If it's a Steven Seagal movie, I punch him in the face or something,
You,
right?
you want drama?
I did not think this example
I
through.
like Steven
Um,
Seagal. Mm.
let's make it an episode of The Office, I guess. Um, but no, let's see how we can insert a different dialogue that might have changed the trajectory of the conversation and kind of brought the temperature down in the room. So, what would be a dialogue that you would recommend for in this case, Edward?
I don't know that you could because I mean, now he would do something different.
Of
But
course,
at that point in time, I
right?
would have probably responded the same way because his what set him off was what the guy said in reference to what he said. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, because no, I would have I don't have a different dialogue.
Alright, so,
Either I would have shut down and not
uh-huh,
said anything at all,
yeah,
but you would have seen it on my face, or I
got
would
it.
have said something.
All right. No, that's absolutely true. Um, anyone else?
I think the people pleaser in me would be like, it's not my intention to screw over my team, like,
Mhm.
and then kind of try to de-escalate the situation.
So how would you
Okay.
de-escalate, Jasmine?
Like justifying or like explaining why I'm saying or like why at the end of the day, like, no, this isn't about me screwing up the team, but like, this is how this is going to work.
Okay.
So can I ask this question?
Go for it.
Ed, why did you, okay, why are you touching those devices when it's a vendor device? Why are you doing it?
Basically, there's scenarios where we can't send images to PAX if these machines have to be configured. So there's instances like during upgrades, like when we went live with Visage, where there's not GE's not available or Siemens, depending on the vendor. And we're far from the only team that does this.
Right,
Like
right.
the Radon team does the same similar things. So he's right. It is good practice to not be touching these, but there are instances where it's inevitable and unavoidable to have to do so. And anybody in like medical imaging IT knows that. It's something we all can do. We have the knowledge to do so, but it isn't good practice to do so. But there are circumstances where it's needed.
In the circumstances, it's because patient safety could be an issue.
Yeah, patients' images can't make it to PACS. They can't be read
Right.
by a radiologist. They can't get their results. So there is real clinical impact if we can't get it right. So
Exactly. And you have the skill set to do it. Yes.
don't tell anybody, but I did it today, earlier on today
This
at
call
West
is
Valley.
recorded for quality.
Just snitched on myself. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, but yeah. But I'll tell you, my response was not anything like
Right.
what Jasmine just said. It was much more aggressive. I may have even swore. I mean, it was not a good situation. It wound up going on my eval. But myself and the director are fine now. Everything's fine. Nothing really bad came out of it, but it's just an interaction I remembered. And when Ian brought it up initially, it was like, wow, that was a time when I was really aggressive. So anyway.
Understood.
Awesome. So anyone else? So again, we're playing the tape back, cut to that statement. What would not would or I should say could have been a different dialogue? Like what?
I think at least in the moment, right? It's difficult. It sounds like a heated discussion on both sides. Clearly the tempers are flaring, and especially being the subordinate, it puts you kind of in a difficult situation. And I think one of the better ways to kind of handle the situation is just simply kind of take a step back and say, I disagree with you, but I'd like to kind of get, your opinion or, kind of discuss it a little bit further. Let's go ahead and shelve it for now, and we can kind of discuss it, at a later time in private, and then kind of come up to some kind of agreement because more than likely, everybody's aware that you guys are touching those devices and stuff. It's not like a secret. But it's one of those things where you kind of have to talk through a better solution or a better way to handle those type of scenarios. And maybe there's a way to escalate or document or something to make it better. But it definitely and I'm not saying anything because I've been in similar situations myself. So I'm definitely not perfect when it comes to that. But yeah, it's and it's difficult to do, to kind of take a step back, especially if you're kind of either an aggressive or assertive personality, to kind of step back and say, okay, let's shelve it for now. Let's discuss it later and just kind of move on. Because there's going to be no good that comes out of fighting like that, especially in a public arena.
Very good. So I'm gonna share something with you guys. I'm gonna throw it in the chat. And we're gonna go over this one by one. So here's the acronym. The acronym is CALM. So C stands for Choose Active Listening. So we'll go through the acronym first and we'll go back to the example. The second one is Acknowledge Emotions. The third one is Lower Your Tone. And the last one is move towards solutions. Let me throw it in the chat. Choose listening. Okay, let's see. So choose active listening. So you were doing that, Ed. You were, listening to the person, to your director, and paying attention to what he was saying. And so I think you were doing that. Let's go to A, which is acknowledge emotion. So in that instance, what you can do is say, let's pretend that your director is Victor. So what we can say, so Victor, give me the line. You're screwing over.
You're screwing over your team, Ed.
Okay. So I'll I'll pretend to be Ed, and I'm pretty sure Ed, your director, didn't laugh after he said that. So,
He did not say it
Alright.
that nicely. Victor's so nice,
I'm
I
not
would
much
just
of a
laugh.
method actor, you know?
yeah. So 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 after he said that, A, acknowledge the emotion. What you can do is say something to the effect of, Victor, I noticed that this is definitely a topic that you're passionate about, and as of right now, it's coming across as. So when you say it's coming across as, it gives the person what's called an off ramp. So let me finish it. So Victor, I can see that this topic is really, you're really passionate about this topic, and this is something that you have really strong emotions about. Right now, how you're expressing yourself is coming across very aggressive, and I'm sure that that's not what you want. You want to have an open dialogue. So let's focus on the topic, but I just want to make sure that that's not what you intended. So that is what's called the offering. So if I tell you that, Victor, again, you're the director, how do you think you would respond?
Okay. If you said it in those ways,
Yeah,
yeah, it would diffuse things or force me to kind of like, you know, rein it back a little bit if I was gonna match the energy, right?
right, right. So let's continue with the calm, right? So we acknowledge the emotion. This seems to be something you're very passionate about. You also lowered, well, in this case, me, I guess, lower the tone. So if I'm kind of like in that heightened tone, then I consciously, bring myself down. So we're there. Curly, I have a question.
I love this activity because I'm actually going to this right now.
Oh, no way.
So I'm just curious, if none of these work, what do you move to?
Hold that thought. That's a really good question. Hold that thought, but also don't let me forget to answer it. Okay.
Okay, sounds
Yeah,
good.
because we'll get to a separate topic, which is called the circle of trust. We'll get to that. Um, so we did active listening, right? I'm sure Ed was listening intently. Um, acknowledge the emotion. So I'd want Lizette. So Lizette, let's try, let's, in your own words, right? So, Lizette, you're screwing your team over.
So do what you just did, like
Yeah,
acted.
so I acknowledge emotions. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
But in your own words, because again, memorizing what I said won't do you any good.
Well, I've never been in that situation, so
Oh, good for you.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like Jasmine. I would probably. What would I do? Can someone else go for me? Because I actually don't know what I would do.
Right, no worries. No worries, Lizette. Patrick. Come on, Patrick. So you're screwing the team over, Patrick.
If I'm screwing the team over, I mean, I'm gonna try to talk to people and find out what I can do better.
So you're doing, so we're practicing acknowledging emotion. So what you're trying to do at this point is to acknowledge what I just said, in the manner that I said it. So at this point, instead of responding to the words that I said, you're acknowledging how I expressed it. So again, let's reverse it. So Patrick, you be the director. So 3, 2, 1, action.
Okay, Ian, you're screwing the team over.
Okay, that wasn't enough emotion to react to. But let's pretend that you were like you were really upset. Let's do it one more time.
Okay. Ian, come on, man. You're screwing the team over. What's going on here?
Hey, Patrick, it seems like this topic is something that you're really passionate about, and I'm sure that you want the best for our team. But right now, the way that you're expressing it comes across pretty aggressive. And I'd love for us to kind of lower the tone and let's get back to solutioning together. This is a topic that you're passionate about. I'm passionate about it, and I want to solve this as much as you want to solve it. So let's get back to the topic at hand. Is that okay, Patrick?
Yeah, you're right. Just turn the temperature down. Thanks, Ian.
No worries, no worries. We want the same thing. And I do love the passion that you have because I have the same passion to fixing this issue. Boom.
Does
Now,
that work?
oh, Alicia,
Like
I
what?
I have been in uh multi-million dollar disputes wherein that simple tool brought people together.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We were there was this one organization, I won't name names. Um, they were about to sue each other for breach of contract for I think like 13 million, something like that. Um, and so they were seconds away from calling their respective legal teams, and the CTO of the organization was a friend of mine, and he's like, we're just talking casually, and I told him, hey, this is kind of my thing, and he was like, would you mind trying to intervene? And I did. It didn't take it wasn't like this example where in like 30 seconds I diffused it. It took 6 weeks. It took 6 weeks. But
Okay.
but we were able to avoid litigation.
Okay.
We were
Okay.
able to avoid litigation. But it took 6 weeks. But that acknowledgement, and when you channel that emotion, because you knew, where's Ed? Um, you knew that your director intended to hurt you with those words, right? But if you can channel that and give him what I call an off ramp, right? By saying that, I'm happy that you're passionate about this as much as I am. And let's get back to trying to solve it, because like you, I want what's best for the team. You do two things. Number one, you kind of prevented him from getting egg on his face, right? Because now you're calling it, and he knows that, oh shit, I said something that I wish cut. Take two. Um, but so egg on the face, you avoided that. But number two, you channeled his energy and gave him an off ramp and use it towards, you're passionate about getting to the right thing. And if you're the director, you're like, oh thank God. Yes, yes, that's exactly now, now that you've come to your senses, like, oh, thank Victor, thank you for kind of saving me face and giving me that off ramp to kind of, exit away from this tirade that I'm trying to go down. And so with that, now you can go to the last letter. So assuming that at that point, who are we doing the Patrick, we're doing it with you. So after I said that, you lowered your tone, right? You're like, you're right, let's get back to solving. And now you do the last one, which is move towards solutions, right? So now it's like, okay, so, and the key word here is getting back to, going back to. So when you use those words, going back to, insert subject matter here, and then everyone now focuses on no worries, Pete. Thanks for letting me know. And man, I should have picked on you before. I'm kidding. But thanks so much, Pete. I hope you have a great weekend. um, so when you say getting back to, now the focus is on the subject matter at hand again. So, so C, choose active listening, where you're really trying to Kelly, I'll be with you just one second. Um, when in this context, active listening is, you're trying to figure out what kernel of truth in what he's saying, or what is something that he's trying to articulate here that is for the good of the group. You're trying to find that one thing, because what you'll find is that when people get emotionally invested into something, there's actually something that they really believe in. So, because otherwise, you're apathetic, you don't really care, right? But if you get emotionally charged, there's something about it that you care, that there's something in that you care about. So you want to find that. So that's the part of active listening. And then you acknowledge the emotion, give them an off ramp, like connect it to, wanting to do good for the team, whatever it is. Um, and and in the lower your tone, this is where this concept of mirroring is very powerful, because as you acknowledge the emotion and you yourself start to lower your tone and bring the volume down and slow things down, it's really hard for the other person that you're talking to just go 180, because that cadence of talking slower and saying things in a very neutral way forces the other person, because remember, when they're in that, like, oh, what's happening is they're in the fight and flight mode, right? And you need to get them to move from fight or flight, run away. You need to move them towards what's called rest and digest. So to get them from fight or flight to rest and digest, it is that tone of voice, it is that cadence that pulls them towards that, because you're not talking to the front part of their brain, the prefrontal cortex. You're talking to the back of their brain, the amygdala, the hippocampus, all the parts of your brain that are more geared towards emotion and are more geared towards looking for signs of danger. So when things are calm, when things are in order, when things are cool, then that part of your brain that's on high alert can like, oh, okay, I'm not in a dangerous situation. I can calm down now. So that's why when you're in a heated argument, you can be Winston Churchill. You cannot convince that other person. I don't care how good you are at debate. You will not be able to convince because it's not the prefrontal cortex that you're talking to at that point. That guy is hijacked by all of the emotions going on in the hippocampus. So you need the emotional part of the brain to literally calm down where it has less activity so that the focus, the blood flow literally goes more back to the prefrontal cortex. So unless you get to that point, stating facts, stating figures, doing counter arguments will not work. As you guys have known, if you've ever argued with your partner about something, facts does not work at that point. So going back to Curlin, you had a question earlier. What happens when you do all of this and it's not working? Did I capture that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay. So at that point, Curlin, the situation that you're in is imagine there's a circle, and for communication to happen, people need to be within that circle of trust. People need to feel that their voice can be and is being heard. If they're not in the circle of trust, then the first step that you need to do is to figure out how to bring them back. So these are some of the practical tactical things that you do. If after you said all of those things, hey Victor, I see that you're really passionate about this, so on and so forth, and Victor is still, flailing and like, just, you don't get it, you're just trying to shut me up, this and that, and they're still like, really attacking. At that point, you cannot reason with this person. The best thing to do is to step back and say, all right, well, how about this, Victor? Let's take a quick five. Let's take a quick break, just 5 minutes, just to gather ourselves, and for those who want to do a quick bio break, let's do that and let's pick this up. So sometimes stepping away, everyone steps away from that circle of trust, and doing a reset helps, right? Now, usually, if it's just something that they're really passionate about, and you give them a 5 minute break, they walk around, get water, whatever it is that they need to do. Most people will calm down, catch themselves, and let's say it was Jennifer. Jennifer, like, oh my God, like I shouldn't have yelled at Chris over there. That was really dumb of me to do so. As you're doing these things, as you're doing, when you do that quick five, you get people to do things that are familiar and are safe, right? Getting coffee, getting water. And again, what you're trying to do is to calm down the parts of their brain that is saying danger, danger, danger. Okay? So doing things that are familiar and are safe will decrease the activity there and then move it back to, well, front of the brain, prefrontal cortex, and say, hey, Nick, get it together, man. Come on now. And hopefully in 5 minutes to come back, we can say, all right. Well, thank you guys. I'm glad that we're back. Let's jump right in here. And again, the off ramp, right? So Curlin. So your off ramp would be okay. Before we went on break, Victor had some really passionate thoughts about how to, fix the issue of whether or not we should be, intervening with these machines, and let's figure out a way to to decide how, how to move forward here. What is the best path? Who should be doing what? And I'd love for everyone to share their thoughts. At that point, you're moving the spotlight away from Victor and focusing it on the topic at hand that everyone can share in on. So, circle of trust, right? You want everyone inside the circle of trust. And number two, you want to have a shared vision, a shared solution, a shared topic. So it goes from me against Victor, right, to a shared topic that Victor and I, along with everyone else in the room, can look at. Because once people are looking at each other, it's us versus them. But once they're both looking at the same thing, now you're entering collaboration, you're entering cooperation, and that energy is now focused on problem solving. Did I answer your question, Carlin?
Um, yeah, I think you did your best. I think that this topic might be a little bit more I don't know, sensitive, because I feel like I've had enough therapy in my life to be able to do this, if that makes sense. And even, with everything that we talked about here, staying calm, making sure that, you take your feelings out of it and your emotions and everything. And I felt like the conversation still ended up in a very high emotional tone from the other person. It was kind of like no matter what I did, they still felt attacked.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and that is not unusual, Carlin. Like the example that I gave you guys, that the organization versus the vendor, it wasn't a 30-minute conversation. It was 6 weeks. It was 6 weeks. And I was also helping with this was a different instance. It was a Hawaii Health Institute. They were doing a merger. I was going back and forth to Hawaii for maybe 5 months. We even got to talk to their government because a huge part of Hawaii Health, HHS Hawaii Health System, was funded by the local government. And with this merger, there were services that weren't w- provided in one of the hospitals. And so people had to travel to a different island to get said services around, sensitive procedures and things like that. So I don't want to give the impression that this by any means is easy. And there are maybe in that conversation with Ed, if we did that, it could have solved it right there and then, right? That's a like a microcosm example. But for bigger disputes, especially if the dispute started months, if not years ago, right? Where there has been this brewing suspicion, lack of trust, or there's just one instance, a true story, I kid you not. There was these two hospitals that wanted to share information because they were going up against, there were two small community hospitals. They wanted to help each other because they were going up against a bigger organization. And they figured, if we help each other, maybe we have a shot against this bigger organization. So they did that. And one of the organizations was, for lack of a better word, stealing data. They were pulling patient accounting information and looking at what hospital A was billing, how much were they billing, what were the rates of the physicians, all of that. And somewhere along the lines, they got found out. So then I got called to help resolve. And so obviously they did not tell me off the bat that that's what happened. They're all like, well, we're trying to do this, but we're not in a position where we truly trust each other, this, that, other. It took, I don't know, maybe 3, 4 months before one of the executives, we were sitting down for happy hour, whatever. And let's just say his name was Nick. And I'm like, Nick, come on, man. What's the real story here? And Nick said, well, one of our admins stole all of their records and what the reimbursement and the rates. And then, we looked at that and I'm like, holy smokes, we're charging way more. So no wonder, they're getting better and people. So we used that data and we got found out and, we had to fire people, but still from that day on, we didn't have the trust. So believe me when I say, it took a full year to even get them to the table. And we had to create um, mechanisms wherein the audit trail was a shared audit trail. So let's say Jennifer is from hospital A and Elicio is from hospital B. At any given point, Elicio can take a look at what Jennifer did, the history, and all of that. So we had to create a mechanism of full transparency so that Elicio and Jennifer can both see each other's activities. And we had to make that play out for like 90 days first. And then after they started to see the benefits of, oh, so that's how you define an encounter. Oh, so your surgery start begins here. Oh, so you don't count this as readmission if they just go to urgent care. Whatever it is, I started to truly compare notes and then started to learn best practices. And then we started to present that to both. So we created this governance team that had, the C suite from both hospitals. And then once the admins, Jennifer and Elicio, were presenting things together, right? These were our co findings that started to develop the trust. And we gave the CIO of both organizations the same admin rights so that at any given point in time, let's say Chris is the CIO of Hospital A and Jasmine is the CIO of Hospital B, both of you at any given point in time can go in, look at the audit trail, and see what Elicio and Jennifer were up to, right? After we established that, and that was another 90 days, so now we're 6 months into it. Then they started to see, oh, okay, there's no funny business going on. It's been half a year, and the doors are open. Anyone can see what's going on. Here's the amazing thing that happened, and I didn't anticipate this. Jasmine and Chris relinquished their system admin access and gave it to their respective IT directors. And they actually both started to drop off of our monthly call. And they're like, we're good. So let's say Nikki is one of the IT managers for hospital A, and Sweta is the IT manager of hospital B. What ended up was Sweta and Nikki were the ones talking, while Chris and Jasmine, we were just informing them through the status reports. But that journey took half a year to do. So Curlin, I just want you to know that I am not diminishing the issue that you're going through by any means. And these examples, I hope, show that these are some hard things to do. And if you are the facilitator or the mediator, the one mistake you can't afford to do is to rush things. Because when both parties feel that you're just trying to rush to make it efficient, they will shut down on you because they have been dealing with this issue for months, if not years, and you're not going to be able to go in days and weeks. So, all right. Oh, Mrs. Sure, no worries. So that was amazing. Thank you so much, Ed, for opening up and sharing. Let's do the reverse. Let's in any of the groups, does anyone have a passive example that they would share? So we did the aggressive one. Does anyone have a passive example? And we'll break that down too. Are you guys being super ironic and not saying anything to manifest the passiveness of communication? Like that is the epitome of being passive. I love it. I love it.
No, we wouldn't do that. That was really good. That was really good. No one's passive? All right.
Our group covered the aggressive, right? So I have a passive, but if anyone wants to go first, I'm fine. If not, I have one.
This is too good. I have something to share, but I'll let everyone else share first.
Yeah, for my group, I don't think we had any like specific examples, but we did, kind of all kind of come to the agreements that we changed depending on the situation, or we weren't really one or the other. With exception of Melissa, she was always assertive. But like I had Kelly, Linda Verde, and Kenny in my group, and we were just like, yeah, in some relations, maybe passive just to kind of like, like go with the flow in certain things. But if other situations where maybe we were more confident in what we knew, we're like, that's where we were like switched to being more assertive.
So, for the purposes of today, let's do a hypothetical passive scenario, and let's do something that we've all experienced at one point or another, and that's figuring out which restaurant to go to. So, right? So, Jasmine, um, which restaurant do you want to go to?
I want to go to Javier's.
Javier's. Okay. Jennifer, which restaurant would you want to go to?
Free tacos downtown.
Okay. So we have Javier's, tacos, and let's pick Devendra Kumar. Are you still with us? Might have stepped away. Curlin, which restaurant would you want to go to?
I don't know.
So it is Friday afternoon, and
No,
we're all on side and just
that was a
want
good
to.
response.
I don't know. Yeah, that's exactly. I don't know. You guys told me. Um, um, Mansourian, which restaurant?
I would want shabu shabu.
Shabu shabu. So Japanese, right? Okay. So now, let's pretend that we didn't hear any of your responses. So we don't know that, right? So, all right, class is over, our work is over. We all decided we're gonna go out for happy hour slash dinner. And then okay. Where do you guys want to go? Jasmine, where do you want to go? And we're role playing passive communication style.
I don't know. Where do you guys want to go?
Perfect. Mansurian,
I'm good with whatever you guys want.
it's right on. Palomo,
I'll eat anything.
now, okay, raise your hand if you've been in a conversation like this, right?
Every day of my life, that's my life.
So, right? So, um, on one hand, it sounds like, oh, this is a slam dunk. Everyone doesn't matter. You know, everyone's okay with anything. It sounds like a slam dunk. But at the same time, if let's say Kenny, you're part of this group, and you just decide, so you're not passive, you're assertive. So which one do you want to go to, Kenny?
I want to get a pastrami.
Pastrami. All right.
Yeah.
So Kenny says pastrami. Jasmine, what are your thoughts?
I'm still being passive.
Yeah. So you, Jennifer, the two Jennifers are
Um,
still being passive.
yeah, pastrami. That sounds good.
Good Lord, you even got the
Nailed it.
no retakes here. Nailed it. Mansurian.
Oh yeah, that sounds good.
Good. And Palomo.
I'll find something on the menu. I always do. So
There you go. So now we end up going to the pastrami place. What are you thinking, right? That you're not saying, Jasmine. What's going on in your head at this point? We're walking over to Kenny's pastrami place.
I don't want to go to pastrami. I wanted to have a margarita. I have yours.
Mansurian, what's going on in your mind?
Kenny always gets what he wants.
This feels too real. And Hernandez.
uh, I would be sad because it's my cheat day and I really wanted tacos. So
Oh
I'll be
my
just sad the whole
God.
time. Yeah.
You even give up your cheat day. So all right. Let's fast forward this movie. We're all there at the pastrami place. Everyone orders. Everyone, is talking. Kenny is having the time of his life because this is what he wants, right? While everyone else is just kind of, waiting to finish their meal and being polite. And so what in my mind is really um difficult about this situation that we talked about. Number one, it happens all the time. But number two, Kenny, would you be, the wiser would you pick up that none of the three wanted to have pastrami?
I might.
Have known. He should have known. I'm just kidding.
He should have. Oh God. Oh, he should
Yep.
have
Yep.
known.
I might.
This is too good. I hope we're recording this. Yes, we are. This is gold right here. He
Sounds like
should
my
have known we didn't want pastrami.
sounds like my
Here.
girlfriend. Oh my God.
And Jennifer, he always gets his way. Um, and you're right, you might pick up on it, but also you might not, right?
Right. I mean, because the responses to me, I said pastrami. And they're responding, oh, okay, I like pastrami. Okay, we can do it. Okay, let's. So I'm like, okay, this is what I want. Let's
Let's
go do
go.
this. Now, if they may have said, no, I don't really want a pastrami. Can we go here? And I may have said, okay, sure, let's try that. You know,
So
I get my pastrami tomorrow by myself. So that's my response.
what you said there moved into being assertive, right? Now, Jasmine, Mansurian, and Hernandez, Why do you think people struggle to go from passive to assertive?
To not offend anyone?
Not offend? Yep, absolutely. How about you, Jasmine? Why do you think a lot of people stay passive versus assert what they want? In this case, Javier's. The
Um,
way they were raised, I love it, Melissa. We'll unpack that here in a little bit.
I think like, well, I think in my head, what I want to do might not be what everybody else wants to do. And like Javier's is also a different budget. So it's like, is everyone willing to spend the same amount of money? And then like, oh, I guess like it might be easier to get pastrami because we'll just walk up and order versus having to like go sit down. So then it's like, okay, well, okay, sure, pastrami works.
So you're being sensitive to other people because not
Oh,
everyone is a trust fund baby like you. Okay, got it, got it. And Jennifer Hernandez, why do you think people opt for passivity versus being assertive?
Uh, I agree with both of their comments. Just I do it to make people feel comfortable. Like I don't like making feel making people feel out of place. So in this food situation, but yeah.
All really good points. Now, what is the danger, the downside of remaining passive? To not feel judged, Nikki, that's a great point as well. So what's the danger in being a chronic passive communicator?
you can build up like resentment.
Really good. Yep. Build up
Disappointment.
resentment. Any other thoughts?
And you can be, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
You can be looked at it. You can be looked at in that way in everything you do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
In our group, we actually kind of mentioned that if you don't make the narrative, someone else will make the narrative for you. So if you're always being passive, someone's gonna keep dictating what to do, and you're just gonna go along with it, and people are gonna think that's what you want and make the decision for you.
Absolutely. Anyone else? The
Y- Uh,
downsides of chronic. Go ahead, Chris.
yeah. In a project team, you could have experts in a certain area that are more passive, that may not voice their opinion. That is the opinion that needs to be heard to make the right decision within the project team. So it can lead to the assertive people within the group, like their decision being the one that's made rather than making the right decision.
Absolutely. And Melissa, I love what you pointed out, which is something that we as managers and leaders need to be sensitive of, and that is culture and upbringing. There are different cultures in the world that are more collective versus individualistic. So a lot of cultures in the West are more, the focus is on the individual, right? I was born in the house that I built type of thing. A lot of cultures in the East are more collective. It's not about you, it's about the family, the tribe, the clan. It's more from a collective standpoint. So um that cultural sensitivity is gold because if you, well, let's go back to our example, figuring out where to eat. If I know that from Jasmine's culture, number one, we defer. Again, this is just an example. Don't want to get in trouble. Uh, from Jasmine's culture, let's say we know that women defer to the men in the group in terms of decision making, right? And we also know that it's more a collective type of culture wherein, it's what everyone wants. And the if you're part of the 20%, you just kind of go along, right? So not rock the boat, and and just go along with what works with the majority. So as a leader, knowing that, it would be beneficial to say, hey Jasmine, if you had your pick, what would you love to eat? Or a better way of doing it is, instead of putting her on the spot, you can go historical. Jasmine, if you had to look at, your go-to spots in the past month or so, where do you usually go? So now you're asking her a question of something that occurred versus a question of on the spot, what do you want? Because for a lot of people, that what do you want is not something that they're comfortable with. So let's say, so Jasmine, where do you typically go? After work, what's your spot? And you might say,
Oh, I like going to Javier's.
Javier's, right? So, okay. Oh, that's a really cool Mexican spot, right? Mexican cuisine. So now, as the facilitator, I know that Javier's might be on the pricier side, but there are, Mexican options, and Jennifer Hernandez actually really wanted tacos. So now we can kind of slide into that Mexican cuisine. So as a facilitator, I can ask, guys, we have Mexican on the table. Um, pun intended. What do you guys think about that? Right? And Kenny might ask, do they have pastrami? And answer probably is no, but maybe there's something, close to it, that's there. And where did the other uh Jennifer go? I don't see her anymore.
She,
Mansourian drop.
yeah,
Oh,
she
she
said
dropped.
gotta
Okay.
go.
Gotcha. No worries. So Nikki Ham, so you're the new part of this group that's going out for happy hour. Um, so first of all, if it were up to you, where would you want to go?
Just a regular burger spot.
Burger spot. All right. So burger, Mexican, pastrami. So, all right. So, tacos, are on the table. Um, Nikki, so now let's give you a different role. You're assertive in this conversation. How would you, present what you want? Hey, Nikki, what do you want? Where do you want to go?
I would like to go to a burger spot, but I'm open to the majority.
Okay. All right. So in that example, Nikki did articulate what she wanted, but she also shared she's okay, she's flexible. There's some flexibility there. And all right, well, we're getting close here. Um, so burgers, pastrami, Mexican. Does anyone have like really strong opinions on this? Like that you really want to get something, because it seems like the team is a little bit flexible here. Does anyone really want to get something that hasn't been brought up? Nope. Okay.
Still
Well,
going
let's
with
see.
passive stuff.
Yeah.
So now let's if I'm facilitating, I could say, well, let's find a Mexican spot that's close by and see if there's something there for everyone. So knowing, as the leader, knowing who the passive team members are will really help you. Again, you cannot you can't put the spotlight on them for too long, and you also can't be too direct, because what happens is they will shy away even more, and they will do everything they can to put the spotlight on someone else as fast as possible. So you want to find ways to just kind of slowly nudge and bring them out of their shell, and share what they want, and then you kind of move quickly away. Another thing for passive communicators is talk to them in private. So before it's 4 o'clock, go up to Jennifer and say, "Hey, Jennifer, we're going out at 4. What is it that you want? I want to make sure, we can see if we can get what you want. You're always okay with what the team wants. We want to make sure that you also get what you want." And so if it's just one-on-one, Jennifer might be more open to sharing her thoughts. Now, more likely than not, she's not going to come out of the gate and say, "Well, I like the sushi place at the corner of." She might say, "No, no, I'm really okay with whatever the team wants." And at that point, it becomes a little bit of a dance. Like, I definitely understand that, Jennifer, and I'm really happy that you're such a good team player. But if there's anything that you want, we'd love to make sure that we go to your spot. What is your favorite spot, by the way? And if she responds like, "Yep, I love, the sushi place at this area," and then say, "Would you be okay if we bring it up to the group as an option?" Um, what would you say, Jennifer, in this instance?
I would tell you my favorite restaurant and say yes, sure. I'd be more open to telling you what I actually want if it was direct like that. Because most of the time I do think of the group, the entire team. So
Right. And since it's just you and me, your guard might go down a little bit more. And at this point, I'll ask you, "Hey, Jennifer, um, do you want me to bring up sushi to the group, or are you okay bringing it up yourself?" Because that's another part of the passive communicator is number one, expressing what they want, like articulating what they want. "I want sushi." And number two is sharing it with the group, right? So volunteer and say, "More than happy, Jennifer, to bring it up to the group if you want, or you can bring it up yourself as well." So let me stop right there. I'd love to get your thoughts on this workshop that we just did with the different types of communication styles.
I liked it. I realized I have to change my communication style a little bit more. So it made me more aware of being passive and working towards
Beautiful.
being assertive.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I like the scenario you gave because there was one that we could all relate to. The food one's perfect.
The which one, Victor?
No, this food scenario is perfect because it's one that we could all relate to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The last one that we'll tackle and we move on, and this one is really hard. And this communication style is passive aggressive. And I'm sure none of you experience this, especially not with your partner. Um, ever. And passive aggressive is really hard to deal with because it actually, for the most part, again, not everyone falls into this category, but a lot of passive aggressiveness starts with passivity, and it's chronic passivity. And someone actually answered it earlier. What happens? What is the downside? What what builds up in you when you're chronically passive? Someone said it already.
Resentment.
Yeah.
Resentment.
Captain said it.
Absolutely. And that resentment, right, becomes this negative fuel that leads you to the other side, which is aggressive, right? So it's a buildup. And since it's a buildup, it can't be resolved with quick fixes, right? And so when you find yourself in a conversation with a passive aggressive person, there has been resentment that has built up. Now, two things: either that's just her communication style with everyone, right? So she's experienced a lot of resentment in life that's how she communicates with everyone. Or that could be just her communication style with you because that resentment built up because of your interaction with this person. Right. So there is no easy way to change this communication behavior because how how that passive aggressive behavior changes is a byproduct of consistently experiencing safety and consistently experiencing that their voice matters. So you cannot fix this in one instance. It comes about over time. So let's make Chris. Let's make Chris the passive aggressive person. And so um if I ask Chris, Chris, where do you want to eat?
Hmm. I know the passive way to answer this. I'm trying to think of passive aggressive way. Ooh. Um, okay. I'd like to go to Mexican, but also I know that you're not really into Mexican food.
Very good. Very good. Notice how he was able to um throw in there that I'm open, but I also know that you're not open, all in that one fell swoop. It's an amazing backhanded way of saying you're rigid and you're stuck with your burgers and hot dogs. Um, and it's a very kind and mild way of just slipping that knife in. So that was really good. Another way would be, um, yeah, I'd love to get Mexican, but you know, you always get your way. So you tell me,
Yeah, that was a great one. Yeah.
or another one would be, I'd love to get Mexican, but since you're the one paying, so that's another one, right? So, um, but that did not come overnight. That response built up over months, if not years, if not decades, right? And the first thing that you need to do if you find yourself in this situation is number one, acknowledge that you are with a person that has resentment either towards you because they weren't able to express their emotions or just how experience in life grew up and all of that. But do not try to fix this person or this communication style in that one instance. So again, the goal is consistent safe experience over time. So we'll continue on with Chris. So let's say I had an epiphany and I'm like, oh my God, um, I might not have honored Chris's wishes in the past, and he just kind of gave up on being assertive. Let me see if this could be the beginning of me fixing this relationship. So what I could say is something to the effect of, well, first of all, acknowledgement. Acknowledge what Chris said. That is the first thing that you can do to work towards fixing the relationship. So what I would say is, you know what, Chris, you're absolutely right, man. Um, I I am not keen on trying new things, especially around food. So you nailed it. Um, However, you know what? I've actually been thinking about that Mexican spot on 17 and Wilshire, and you know what? Let's do it. Yeah, I'm sure we'll find something that I could try out. And dude, I really need to expand my palate anyway. You know me, all I eat is burgers and hot dogs. And there's more to life than that, right? You acknowledge the situation, you acknowledge the point that Chris made, right? That, you know, I'm not gonna, I don't try other cuisine, Mexican food. Um, Self-deprecation goes a long way. Making fun of yourself and saying, man, you know me, I live off of hot dogs and burgers. I need to grow up. I'm no longer a toddler. That goes a long way because if Chris laughs, then that is energy, pent up energy that he can now release. Like, you wanted to make fun of me for years now, but there was no opportunity. But now that I'm opening it up, you can now share that and we can have a shared laugh, right? And then after that, we go and actually enjoy Mexican. Now, what I need to do is to avoid anything that would appear to be either backhanded or a joke that would um undermine the decision we just made. Like anything like, man, this is why I don't go to Mexican restaurants because I never find something that I truly like, or even the mild is so spicy. Like, God, why? See, this is why I only eat burgers and hot dogs. That will undermine the experience, right? But if we go there, I find something I like, and I'm genuine about it, and say, Chris, thanks, man. This is actually pretty good. Obviously, it's not something that I'm used to, but I can see myself coming back here. That encounter is an investment, right?
Is it truthful?
Again, it has to be genuine. You have to find something there that you can genuinely say, this is okay. I like it. If you go over the top, Chris is going to smell that. He's going to sense that I'm just doing something over the top, and then it backfires again. For the mathematically inclined in the group, think about passive aggressive as having a negative balance in your emotional bank account. You're negative 500 bucks. This encounter that we just did was a positive investment of, let's say, 50 bucks. So we need more investments like this to hopefully get to positive, right? But depending on how much your emotional bank account has been withdrawn, that's the investment that you need to put in so that Chris can finally feel that he is in a safe environment to voice his opinion. Because that passive aggressive came about because Chris does not feel that it is safe to express his opinions as they come. And that pushing down creates resentment and eventually is manifested as passive aggressive. So there you go.
But how do you balance what you're saying with rewarding passive aggressive behavior?
So that's a really good question. The the word reward is tricky because what you really want to get back to is a sense of authentic communication and authentic relationship, right? Be it in the workplace, be it romantic, be it personal, be it in the family. That's what you're trying to get back to. So let's continue with the restaurant conversation. Um, let's say that Chris, if he had it his way, we would be eating tacos all day, every day, right? Let's say that was the situation. Now, oh, Melissa, yeah, no worries. Thank you so much for joining and participating. Um, Now, I need also to be genuine and authentic to myself and say, Chris, this was a great experience. Thanks for pulling me out of, the rock that I live under when it comes to the food choices. Um, I won't be able to have Mexican every day. I know that you might want to, but how about we do Taco Tuesdays? And so every Tuesday we will have it, and then we kind of grow from there. And I'd love to also try other things if you are open to try it with me. So that is one way where you're, again, the foundation has to be genuine, authentic communication, because if not, eventually it will shore up. Like people, you can only fool people for so long. Eventually, the truth will come out. So it's starting from that genuine desire to have a relationship with this person, again, professional, romantic, or otherwise, and then from there finding ways to repair, especially in the passive aggressive, that that withdrawn emotional bank account that you find yourself in. So these are the things that makes project management really hard when you're being brought in the middle of a failed project, because almost always it has nothing to do with technology, sometimes process, but almost always it has to do with people, right? Now, you're typically brought in because of technology. Oh, Epic doesn't work, or this doesn't work, or we put in this new system, it doesn't work. You peel back the layers of this onion, and it's almost always communication, relationships, or someone not being heard. So, um, I hope that I know we took a lot of time with these communication styles and methods, but I hope you now have a little bit more tools in your tool belt that you can pull out when needed, and also hopefully you can identify what type of communication style you're in. Am I talking to Kenny, who's assertive? Am I talking to Jasmine, who's passive? Or am I talking to Chris, who's passive aggressive? So, understanding what communication style you're in is the first step to communicating better. Cool deal. Well, we'll circle back next week with the rest of our wonderful slides here. But I'm really grateful that we had to spend time with this, because I've been studying this for maybe 2 decades now. And there's still so much more that I need to learn, because all of your learnings goes out the window once your ego is struck. Once you once you feel you're attacked. Because again, everything you learn is in your prefrontal cortex. But once you feel that you're attacked, it's your amygdala, your hippocampus, all of your emotional bells going off. Danger, danger, danger. Kenny, defend yourself. Kenny, don't listen to Victor. He's trying to hurt you, right? So it's that, okay, 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 my heart is racing. Okay, I'm breathing shallow. I'm probably not getting the right blood flow to the right part of my brain. I need to start taking deep breaths. I need to center myself. I need to calm myself down. I am not in a good position to respond to Edward right now. I'm going to say something that I'm going to regret. So, knowing that about yourself when you're in that position is one of the best things that you can do to become a better manager and leader, and observing that in others as well. On that note, I'd love to get your thoughts on this. And again, to close out, anything that you have learned and hope to use um, as we go along. What's on your mind, Sweta?
I was just
You're-
thinking that today I learned about the communication styles.
Mhm.
So it's really that I have to look into it. If I get a chance in the weekend or maybe the next week, I should start working on it like slowly at least. That's the plan.
Awesome. Edward, you were brave enough to share your story, and I'm really grateful. Any thoughts from the exercise and workshop that we did this afternoon?
I think it was very helpful and informative, and I learned Kenny's got my back. I know that. No, I think everybody here is very thoughtful. And again, if I had it to do over, I would use some of the language that some of you folks came up with. The good news
Or
is my
or
director
just
and I
call
are
Kenny.
friends. We've hung out quite a bit. He's come to my house. I drove him to the Metallica concert at SoFi. So we're
Oh my God,
all
that's
is good.
amazing. That's always good. And next time, think you're going to be in a heated argument, just tell Kenny to attend the meeting. So
My
that's another
bodyguard.
takeaway. That's right. That's right. Cool. Last one, and we'll close out for the day.
I'll go last. And so in our breakout group, are you familiar with the DISC behavior?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So
Assessment.
I actually have a little sign on my monitor at my desk, and it says vertical awareness, where when I'm interacting with certain engineers on my team, I have to be very cognizant of my behavior patterns, and some of them are at the other extreme. And so when we get into conversations, and we also in our breakout was me with my style of just letting go, let them make mistakes, and discussing options rather than how I would do it.
Wow, that's amazing. And I'm really happy you have that reminder on your desk. That's a really good thing to think about. Yeah, for me, for the longest time, I thought that people made the decisions that they made for lack of knowledge. So my go-to in life has been to explain, elucidate, give examples, and all of that. And later on in life, I realized that people make the decisions they make primarily because of that tug of war of being in the comfort zone versus the growth zone. And more often than not, the comfort zone wins. So that which is comfortable, familiar is what people go to, even though that might not be the best for them, right? How many times, and myself included, have we had the tug of war between another episode of Netflix or going to the gym, right? Who wins? Almost always the next episode. And it's not for lack of understanding that, going to the gym and all the benefits. It's that tug of war between growth and comfort usually wins. So I have to, acknowledge that in myself and remind myself that that is the struggle that everyone goes through every day. So with that, thank you so much, guys. This has been
This was good.
really good. Thank you, Alicia.
It's
I,
really
I
good.
learned a
Absolutely.
lot from you guys as well. So I really appreciate your time. And we'll pick it back up next Friday.
Thank you. Have a good
And
one.
have a
Thank
good weekend.
Good
you.
weekend, you
Thanks.
guys.